Greetings, pet lovers. Brigid here with First Street Pets, and today we're going to talk about how to start a pet sitting business. I started pet sitting in 1994. I responded to an ad in the back of the newspaper, no internet in those days, and got a job in San Francisco doing pet sitting, something I had never heard of before. I loved it right away, and a year later I started my own business in the San Mateo area on the peninsula. I'm stating the obvious when I say things were different back then in many ways. I started my business in July of 1995, and by Christmas time, I was fully booked. Well, I'm sorry to say those days are over. Today, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of different kinds of pet sitting businesses now, from professional pet sitters like me and my company, to hobby sitters, to app-based pet sitters, to the old standards of friends, family, and neighbors. So there's a lot of competition out there today, and if you're going to start a business, you need to know what to do to be successful. The first question you need to ask yourself is, am I cut out to be an entrepreneur? It sounds really exciting, but it's not for everybody. I like to say that pet sitting is fun and easy until it isn't. It can be great setting your own schedule, managing your own time, taking care of animals all day, walking, getting exercise. That's all great. Until the day that an animal has a medical emergency on Christmas Day and you miss your family dinner. Or until you show up for a visit and the dog isn't there because it escaped from the yard and now you're spending the rest of your day trying to find a lost dog. There are so many things that can go wrong that you need to be prepared for this ahead of time so you know what you're getting yourself into. Now, building any business takes time, commitment, and hard work. And I would suggest that you check out one of the many channels on YouTube that I enjoy with small business owners and entrepreneurs helping each other, providing general business information and support. I will link some of those in the description below so you can get just some general business management and entrepreneurial spirit information. But it's just important to know that it will pay off in the end, but it takes time. This isn't 1995 and you're not going to have a full-time schedule in 6 months. This can be a big change for someone used to a 9-to-5 job in the office. You have to make your own decisions. You have to manage your own time. You have to think on your feet, and you have to be able to work most of the time by yourself. That's fine with me. I like working alone, but a lot of people find that they don't, and they get lonely, and they kind of prefer being in an office working in a group environment. So these are all the questions you have to ask yourself if this type of business is suitable for you. Are you experienced in pet care? Now, having your own pets at home helps, but that's not going to be enough. You are going to be doing this on a professional level, taking care of many different animals. Probably most of you will take care of cats and dogs, but cats have all different personalities, all different needs, maybe behavioral issues or medical needs. There are all kinds of different dog breeds with different kinds of personalities and different needs. You may also care for exotic pets or farm animals, horses, cattle, etc., aquariums. You need to become knowledgeable of the proper care of all of these kinds of animals in order to ensure their health and well-being. You will encounter many situations and challenges, and you pretty much have to face them alone. So having a little bit of experience in your background can be a big help. Now, you can accomplish this by volunteering. You can volunteer at your local animal shelter or rescue, so you get exposure to a lot of different cats and dogs. You can walk dogs. A lot of these shelters have classes on humane education, so you can learn about the ins and outs of pet care. If you decide to join Pet Sitters International, which is one of our trade associations that I belong to, They have a number of educational courses that are included with membership that are very valuable. Most of this is on-demand web content, so you can watch at home at your convenience. That's another way that I would highly recommend educating yourself on pet care. There are situations where you could even be in danger. Dogs can bite. Dogs may be fine for their owners, but not for you. They may be fearful or aggressive or shy. They may even just knock you down while you're out walking them. I've walked German Shepherds, Great Danes, Mastiffs, and I haven't had any problem because I'm very grounded and centered and I know what to do. And in situations where if I felt that an animal was too much for me, I would turn down the job. So setting boundaries and saying no will be the subject of a future video. But for now, you just need to know how to handle all the kinds of animals that you will be taking care of safely. If you are going to give medication, you need to know how to do so properly or the results can be fatal. I have had clients ask me to give their cat 3 cc's of insulin. If you don't know what's wrong with that statement, you should not be giving cats insulin. So there are many things like that where you don't have to have the level of education of a veterinarian or a veterinary technician, but you need to know the basics. What kinds of medications do animals commonly take? What are the common doses? So you'd know what would kind of be an average correct dose, and it's not 3 cc's, and what would be an overdose in a case like that. So you need to understand all these things before you can safely give medication, because clients will make mistakes and they will give you misinformation sometimes. A good way to learn this information is, again, volunteering at a shelter. They do have medical departments. Sometimes they will allow internships, or if you're just helping out, you can learn this kind of very basic information. You're not going to be making veterinary level decisions. You'll simply be giving medication and monitoring the animals in their home. But having this background in some situations can mean the difference between life and death. So very important to educate yourself before you take on pets with medical need. Do you want to be a solo sitter, a partner, or a boss with a large staff? Those are the 3 kind of basic structures that you can have for a pet sitting business. I started off as a solo sitter in my first business, and then I hired staff when I was in San Mateo. Now in my current business, I'm in a partnership, which works well for me. But you have to decide what's going to work for you. You'll most likely start out as a solo because you're not going to have any clients. And it's going to take some time to build up enough where you even have enough work for one person, let alone more than one person. Now, being a solo sitter can be pretty simple. You do all the visits, you make all the decisions. You also have the opportunity to learn and grow, especially if you're new to the business. You can determine kind of what works for you and what doesn't. So you can sort of create your business's best practices, policies, and procedures, which will be helpful in future if you're hiring other people to help you. You kind of already have a system in place. You also get to maintain quality control. You're doing all the visits. You know what's being done. You know you're there on time. You know you're doing what the client asked you to do. And you know you're going the extra mile for your clients. One of the biggest downsides of being a solo sitter is that you don't have any backup. It's just you. You will find that you are working 7 days a week, many hours a day, and you never get a break. And that gets old. If you get sick, you're out there working even while you're sick. If you want a day off, too bad, because there's nobody to cover for you. So these are definitely some downsides of being a solo sitter. Now, of course, you can tell clients you're not available, but then you're going to lose money because you don't have anyone to back you up. And if you are canceling on clients a lot, they may go with another service because they want someone who's available for them on demand. Another downside is that there's no system of checks and balances. Since you're the only one running the show, if you make a mistake, there's no one to help you. In my business partnership, we check each other's schedules all the time. And so we're able to check in with each other. Did you do this visit? Did this go all right? Did that go all right? Remember, this client is starting next week. So there's a system of checks and balances. If one of us forgets something or makes a mistake, the other can correct it. A partnership is almost as simple as being a solo sitter because there's just one other person. Very often this person is a spouse, significant other, family member, or close friend or associate. So in these types of businesses, each person does visits and does different tasks within the business. And so you basically help each other out and support each other to make the business successful. Now, the most important thing is you have to find someone you trust because this person is going to be half of your business. And if you can't trust them, then it's not going to work out. Or if their heart isn't really as into it as much as yours is, it's ultimately not going to work out and will lead to disappointment. So important to find someone that you can trust who is just as excited about the business as you are and just as willing to put in the hard work that it takes. So some of the positives are that you always have backup. There's two of you. If one of you is sick or needs a day off or has a medical appointment or something else, the partner can do the visits for you. You can help each other out and keep the clients happy, giving them the visit days and times that they want without only one of you being overburdened with all those visits. You have the ability to earn more income because obviously with two people, you can take on more clients. You can take on more business. You can earn more income for the whole business than you could with just one pet sitter. On the downside, once you get going in your business, you may find that your partner doesn't hold up their end of the deal. Maybe they realize it's not really for them and they kind of want out. So they may either leave the business and stop working the business, or they may stay in the business but not hold up their end of the bargain. And that can be very frustrating. So you may find yourself kind of doing all the work and having a partner who wants to share in the income but isn't really holding up their end. So this is one of the potential downsides of a partnership. So I think the key to preventing that, well, you can't prevent it 100%, but to hopefully preventing it is to sit down and discuss these things and come up with an agreement in writing, but most importantly, to just discuss it ahead of time and make an agreement what the expectations will be for each partner. Are you both going to do exactly the same thing? Are you both going to do visits, scheduling, management, phone calls, etc.? Will one of you do more visits and the other one is more of an office manager? So one can manage the scheduling and the calls and talking to clients and so forth while the other one's out in the field. Who's going to do the website? Who's going to respond to the emails? These are all things that you need to discuss ahead of time so that you have a realistic expectation when you're actually in the thick of running your business. Another potential downside is that it may take your business a while to grow. As I said, there's a lot of competition today. And depending on where you are, it can take a while to grow up your business to even be a part-time income, let alone a full-time income. So at some point, there may be disagreements about the division of the income. Maybe one partner has a different expectation than the other, and there might be arguments over who's going to do the visits or who is going to be paid the income. So these are things that you need to discuss ahead of time. Are you just going to split everything 50-50? Are you only going to be paid for the visits that you do? How is your structure going to work out? If you discuss this ahead of time, it'll avoid a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication later. If you decide to be a boss and hire staff, you can scale your business as big as you want. And there are a lot of resources out there about doing that, which I will link in the description. There are some consultants who have written books and have website and master classes on this topic. That's not my specialty, so I'll go ahead and link that in the description so you can learn from them. But if you decide to hire a staff, just understand that it's a whole different world from doing it yourself or having a partner. As I said, one of the pros is you can scale your business as big as you want. You can take on as many clients as you want. You rarely have to say no unless it's something that doesn't fit your business. And so you're able to build up a high level of income with a staff of 10, 20, 30 or more people. Another positive is that you will always have coverage. Even if you're not available and the primary sitter isn't available for some reason, you'll always have another staff person that you can call upon to cover that visit. So you know that your visits are always covered by somebody in the business, even if it's not you or the client's primary sitter. Now, on the downside, you're always going to be hiring. Ask anyone who runs a small business and offers a part-time job, and you will find that they are always going to be hiring. It can be very challenging to hire in this field because it's not what most people expect from a job. People think when they sign up for a job, it's like working in a shop. They're going to be there from 9 to 5. They're going to punch a time clock. They're going to go home. It's going to be the same every day and every week, with the exception of maybe they work on different days. This is very different. It takes time to build up a schedule for a new sitter. They may only have a few walks. They may have visits in the morning and the evening and nothing in between. They may just have 3 or 4 dog walks and nothing else. It's a really different business model. So unless someone you hire has done this before or has a really clear understanding of what the job is, you may find that they are quickly disappointed because either it doesn't fit in with their schedule, or they're not making enough money, or they want to go to school or get another job which will conflict with this job. So it can be a big challenge to hire people in this business. Not that you can't do it. Many people do very successfully have a staff team, but there are some special challenges for this type of business as opposed to, say, a shop, a grocery store, an auto mechanic shop, or something like that. You have to be aware of the labor laws in your state, and they are very strict and getting stricter. Most states do not tolerate employees being treated as independent contractors anymore. So that's one of the biggest things to remember. In the past, we could hire people as contractors, and it was super easy. Now, not so much. You can get away with that, but all it takes is one complaint, and then you'll be dealing with the state. And that's not something that you want. So educate yourself on the labor laws in your state and be aware of that before you ever think about hiring. Another potential downside is that the staff may not be as invested in the business as you are. Even if they love their job, they're not the owners. So they're not going to put in that extra mile like you would. And some staff, unfortunately, are just looking for a job, and maybe they're not going to do a very good job. Maybe they're not going to go to the visits on time, and they're not going to do everything they're supposed to, or they will cut the visits short. These are all things that I know have happened with folks who have hired staff, and it's really unfortunate, but it does happen. Or they may be careless. They may not check their schedule. So how much time do you want to have to spend checking up on people to make sure that they've done what they were supposed to? Many clients don't like having multiple different pet sitters coming to their house, especially if they started out with just you or one other person. They're used to having that one person that they can count on who knows their pets to come to the home. With staff, realistically, and especially because of labor laws, you're going to be sending different people to their house. According to the labor laws, you can't necessarily have the same person go to someone's house 20 days in a row. You're going to be paying them a lot of overtime if they don't have appropriate days off and time off. So it's a whole different world with hiring staff. It can work really well, and it does for some people, but these are all just things you need to be aware of before going down that path. My next piece of advice is don't quit your day job. Okay, think about how much money you need to make, and we'll do a little math here in a minute. But if you have a job, especially if you have a full-time job, don't be in such a hurry to give it up. There are many pet sitters who have a business on the side, and that works very well for them. You can have overnight visits, you can have morning and evening visits, or maybe you can hire someone to do midday visits while you work at your regular job. So you can swing both at once. It can work, and it does work for some people. Now, the reason I say this is because at your job, you're not just being paid a wage, you also have benefits. And you, of course, can self-pay for those benefits yourself, as many full-time pet sitters do, but it's not cheap. For someone who is not young, say over 40, and even without any health issues, you could easily be self-paying $500 or $600 a month for health care. It is not cheap if you're not on a group plan. The same with retirement. If you're in a government job or a business that offers you a retirement plan, you're contributing to it, yes, but they're also contributing. So usually the company is contributing at least half, and in some cases 2 or 3 times as much as you are contributing. And that money is all banked until the time that you retire. So of course you can manage your own retirement accounts yourself, but that takes some discipline and learning about how those things work and setting it up and making regular deposits. So don't be in a big hurry to give those things up right now to achieve the business of your dreams. Okay, so let's do the math now. What is your monthly budget? If you don't have one, shame on you. Pause this video and go make a budget right now. I'll try to put a link in the description to some helpful tools for making budgets or some other YouTube videos. How much do you need to make per month? That's to pay your bills, your rent or your mortgage, your vehicle. You have to eat. You may want to go to the movies once in a while, your pet care. We all know that can skyrocket quickly. What do you need to make per month? Okay, so let's just say you've decided that you want to make $4,000 a month. Okay, so that'll cover your expenses and you'll have some left over for entertainment. Now, what is your budget? How much do you need per month? And then what is your goal? Maybe you don't want to just make enough to pay your bills. You want to have a better lifestyle. You want to buy a new car. You want to pay off your debt. You want to be able to travel now and then. You want to get ahead. That's one of the reasons why you're getting into this business, is to have more financial freedom. So what is your goal amount? Okay, so let's just say you set your goal amount at $4,000 a month. That's how much that you want to make right now for whatever reasons. So how many visits do you need to do in order to make that amount of money? So prices vary across the country, but an average for a drop-in visit is about $25, and an average for an overnight visit is about $75. Now that's kind of on the low end of average, and I will tell you in the metro areas, it can be a lot higher. For a drop-in in a metro area, it can be closer to $35 or $40. And for an overnight, it could be as much as $100. So it just depends on where you live, what the market rates are, and what your competition is. So let's just say, for the sake of this hypothetical example, that you are going to charge $25 per visit. In order to make that $4,000 a month, you would have to do 160 drop-in visits per month. Roughly, that's about 8 visits per day if you're working 5 days a week, or it's about 5 visits per day if you're working every day of the month. Throw some overnights in there, and that will change the formula up as well. A real schedule will be inconsistent, however. You may have super busy weeks where you're doing 8 or 10 visits a day and an overnight, and then the next week you may have 1 or 2 visits a day. So this is just a hypothetical example, but it's a way to get you thinking about, okay, what's my goal and how many visits of each kind do I need to do per month to make the amount that I need to make? And it's important to think about this ahead of time, because there are limitations in a service business. There are only so many hours in a day, so you can only make as much as you can work each day, each week, each month. Market research is also super important in the beginning stages of starting your business. What kind of an area do you live in? Are there areas of higher income, middle income, lower income? How many people live in your area? Are you in a big city, very highly congested, a very metro area? Or are you in a small town? Are you more out in the country where there aren't that many people, or homes are spread farther apart? There's a lot of different factors in looking at your market. You can have a successful business in any market, but you have to look at these factors and be realistic about how you're going to run your business, how you're going to set your prices, and how long it's going to take you to build up that business depending on where you are. So let's take an example like San Francisco. In today's world, there are a ton of pet sitters in San Francisco. I couldn't even tell you how many companies there are. There is a lot of competition. You go to Fort Funston, which is an off-leash dog walking area, on any afternoon, and you'll see 100 dog walkers out there. So it's an area that's very congested with pet sitting companies, but also there's a lot of people and a lot of pets. Each company can only take on so many clients. So starting in an area like that, of course, you're going to have a lot of competition. You're going to have to break into the market, but you also have a lot of potential clients and clients in a metro area that are used to paying premium prices. So that can actually be a benefit if you're able to break in on that market and build up a business in a very competitive area. In a smaller town, it may take longer to build up your business. People may be used to having friends and family do it for free, or they may have someone who does it as a hobby for very, very cheap prices. I see people charging $10 for a visit or $20 for an overnight. That's not even minimum wage. But unfortunately, if potential clients are used to paying that, they think that's the norm. They don't understand what the market rates are. So you're going to have a fight on your hands trying to get people to pay what it takes you to actually run a professional business. To find out what the competition is in your area, there's a couple things you can do. Go to our friend Google and type in pet sitter near me. That should show you a list of pet sitters in the area. They're probably going to be professional pet sitters that have websites, and those will all come up in a list. Now, of course, the paid ads will come up first, like Rover and Wag. Just skip over those. Look at the websites and see who's in your area. Also look at the Google Places. They'll show the locations by city, and you can see what other sitters are in your area. After doing that, you can also look on Rover and Wag and see how many app-based pet sitters are in your area. If you go in there, you usually just enter your zip code and what type of pet you have looking for care, and it'll give you a list of sitters that serve your area. You may be shocked at how many there are and what low prices they are charging. So I would go ahead and do that as part of your market research. I am not suggesting that you set your prices that low. If you're going to run a real business, you want to start with market rates because it's much harder to raise them later, and it takes just as much effort to do a dog walk or a visit for $10 as it does for $30. So you think about what your time is worth and what you want to charge for your services. Last but not least, a great way to start your business is to network with other sitters. So once you've done that market research, call around to the other companies in your area. Just tell them you want to meet. You're starting a pet sitting business. They may even want to hire you, and that may be a good way to start. You may go to work for someone else for a couple years and learn about the business and find out if it really is for you. In any case, you can meet these other folks. I have made many friends over the years in networking, some dear friends that I still have now over 20 years later. I have mentored a number of people over the years, which has been very rewarding. And it's exciting to see someone start a new business and be successful. So while some people may be unfriendly, just like any other group of people, there will be a lot of people who are welcoming and happy to talk to you and welcoming you into their community. And as I mentioned earlier, joining groups like Pet Sitters International can also be really helpful. You may find people in your area, but there's people all over the country in that group. We have a private Facebook group where we discuss all kinds of different things. So that can also be very helpful to you. I would recommend going ahead and looking into joining that. Stay tuned for the next video, which will be on pet sitting startup essentials. Thank you for watching this video today. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We upload content on pet business, lost pet recovery, and other important pet-related topics every week.